GTA 6 trailer came out. Hi, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody on this fine, what is it? Today's Tuesday? On this fine Tuesday? You like my dividers? They were $100, but they also came broken, so literally not even kidding. They came so totally broken. Hi. Oh my god, I love how squeaky my chair is. It's like ASMR. And what? Thank you. They look nice because like I barely touch them, because if I touch them more, it's just gonna fall apart. So I'm like super careful with them. Yeah, I just got on. Well, thank you. Good morning. I have my coffee and I'm gonna do some makeup because I would like to have some eyebrows today, and I need to film some content, so I need to have like a decent little face of makeup on. Oh no, I dropped something. Let's see if I pull this chair up higher. Wait, I'm wearing this dress today because I didn't feel like grabbing anything else. It was like the first thing I grabbed out of my closet. And it's really comfortable, so this is a dress that I like usually wear like if I go to the mall. Some like silly little cheap dress. Oh hell no. Thank you. Oh my god. Bro. Somebody's being a freak in my TikTok chat right now. Freak alert. Well, whatever. Ew. You're so gross. What are they asking to prop up? That's what I'm saying. Like, what? What are we propping up? Well, they got muted. And they followed me? You better not come back tomorrow and do the same shit, because then I'm gonna block you. What the helly? Good morning. The only two things I have for breakfast in the house, you know, without going to spend any extra money, is milk and cereal or a protein shake. I didn't have eggs. You'd holla. I rent. I don't own. Oh my god. Huh? Sorry, I can't fucking see shit. I'm gonna make the chat bigger. Oh, thank you. Oh, man. Last night I played Minecraft. It was alright. I feel like I didn't make much progress, but that's okay. Because today, I'm not going to play Minecraft. Well, I might play Minecraft actually. I lied. But I'm like salivating over this hair appointment that I have tomorrow. I hope it goes well, because if it doesn't go well, I'm just gonna start crying. I lost my blush. You said what? I wish I could play Minecraft, but it makes me motion sick. How the fuck does it make you motion sick? Oh, thank you. You should wear those motion sickness glasses. It might help. I can't tell. I can't tell what this looks like, but I wanted to contour because yesterday I saw my makeup and I was like, my face is a little light compared to the rest of my body. So I think a little bit of contouring is in order. Where did my blush go? Are you guys so interested in if I pay rent? It's like the second person that asked me. I can't believe I lost my blush. I seem like a homeowner is a really funny thing to say. Oh, my arm. Lately, I have not been feeling like eating, like, not like eating like because I'm like depressed or something, but eating like the idea of chewing food and swallowing it sounds disgusting to me right now. I don't know, I have this thing where sometimes I just like, it's really hard for me to eat food. So I was thinking about making a shake, but the shake protein powder that I have, I kind of despise right now. But I'm gonna make some and see how that goes. Okay, my base looks pretty decent. Girl, I'm a healthcare worker. I have to report this. What? The fact that I can't eat food sometimes? I just have to find tastier food. You know what the tastiest food to me is? Chicken nugget. Chocolate milk. Pizza. I have the palate of a toddler. Not purposefully. So, finding tasty food is a little difficult. Unless it's my usuals. I presume you're trying to eat healthy. Well, yeah, that's the goal. But, you know, the goal doesn't always end up going in the right direction, so. Okay, some eyebrows. A Burger King for my Burger Queen. Wait, it's early? No, I don't want to get fast food. I thought about it for a split second, but I had fast food the other day. It's probably not a good idea. Jamba Juice? Dude, I wish they had a Jamba Juice next to my house. They don't have any Jamba Juices around here. They just got like Smoothie King. You mostly only what? The strawberry smoothie from Jamba is fire. Also, hi Cyrus. I think Jamba Juice is pretty good. I think Jamba Juice is better than Smoothie King. Okay, let's see. I couldn't see shit while I was doing it. Okay, I think this is good. Alright. I like that. I like that. Thank you. Oh, I still have some body cam videos that I haven't watched yet. If you guys want to watch some body cam. Because low-key, I was low-key thinking about it. Where is my glitter? Oh, here it is. What? Yeah, I'm trying to speed run my makeup. I'm not trying to take forever. Help me get out of bed. I've been in bed for 2 hours. What, you don't have like work or anything today? Honestly, sometimes the best thing is to just sit in bed all day. Sorry. Unless you have things to do, then you should get up. But if you don't have anything to do, it's okay. Oh, so you do have stuff to do? Then get the fuck up. Okay, I think that looks fine. Thank you. I love gloss, but it's so annoying when I smoke. I love gloss though. It's so cute. But it does get really obnoxious. How does this color look? Should I do something more pink or do you think this looks fine? I need to get new makeup. I need new concealer and like lipstick. Are my what? This is just so it doesn't look cakey. You said, are your nips? Am I what? My what? You said cigs or vapes? Bro, neither. Okay, I think I'm good with my makeup. I really don't think I'm gonna do anything else. Yeah, I think that's it. itchy. I just can't scratch it properly because I don't have any nails right now. So it's like a mission. Let's see if how this came out. Oh, okay. It's literally perfect. Okay, I'm ready for my close-up. This fried hair here is really pissing me off. But if this wasn't fried, it would look so cute. Look at this. See? Look how cute it looks when you don't see the fried hair. Hopefully this is gonna be me tomorrow. Okay, I'm gonna put it like this. How's this? I think that looks a little bit better. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna pack a cone so we can do a blinker checkpoint. Yeah, how long did it take me to do my makeup? Like 15, 20 minutes? Thank you. He said, can I borrow $700? Haven't decided what I do with it yet, though. Let me know. Give me $700. Now! Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I'm not used to being like a lady with boobs. Like, I've always been a lady with boobs, right? But sometimes I'm like, wow, I have boobs. That's how I feel right now. It's all I can think about. I'm like, it must be pretty dope. It's also just because I've never like had like bazonkers. I've always had like a somewhat like flat chest in a way, but since I gained weight, I have like little bazonkers now. So when I like lean forward, you see like this gap, and I'm like, excuse me, excuse me. But then I remember that that's like, it's like normal, I guess. But I'm just like, hey, hey, eyes up here, hey. Them auga auga. The what? You guys are freaks. You know what would look cute? Me as your man. Hey, you got 11K. Good for you. Oh, my gloss is gonna get everywhere after. It's a blinker checkpoint. It's gonna be okay. What? Huh? Who said that? Did somebody say blinker checkpoint? Must have been the wind. Bug just made a little noise. What time is it? It's 10. Ooh. I'm gonna take the babies out in 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes. And I take you outside. My little baby ladies. They're stinky. I need to bathe them. They're stinky little baby ladies. Okay. Back to my leg. Thank you. Okay. Do you guys watch content like from like people who consider themselves like social media content creators? Like say for example me, but what I want to ask is, do you listen to people who like are yelling all the time? Like, do you listen to a lot of people who project their voice very well? Because I've been thinking about it, and I feel like my tone's really soft and chill, or like just a little ASMR-y. Somebody was saying that yesterday, and I was like, even if I tried to be high energy, it would give me a headache. My high energy is like me standing still, and then my brain is like bouncing around in my head. That's my high energy. Blinker checkpoint. Blinker checkpoint. I can be your what? I can be your angle to your what? Man, I just got lipstick everywhere. Some of us just have monotone vibes. I give monotone vibes? I feel like IRL, I'm like pretty animated, but only at times. I think lately I've just been kind of tired, so I've just been like, yay. What the fuck? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how people have energy for all of that. I mean, that's good though. It's good to have energy. I don't have the chutzpah. Okay, I want to get super, super blasted. So I'm gonna have this in this whole thing in one sitting. Did you see me almost throw up? I ate that. No, not literally, but I'm so good at like pretending like I'm not gonna throw up. I like watched it back. It didn't look like I was gonna throw up. Not to throw up. Hey, sometimes when you have baby lungs and you try and take a really long rip, sometimes you choke. The babies are doing baby noises. Huh? Just give me a little second. No, now that I made eye contact with her, she's like, oh, you're awake. Oh, now it's my time. Like, no. I said good morning. That's all I said. They just want to go outside, though. I might have to take a quick 2-second and take them. Bug is like, what? I love having dogs, but sometimes I hate having dogs just because I have to be responsible and care for something. But they're awesome. It's like having like little fuzzy forever babies. Sasha's licking the cage right now. Sasha, stop that. They look like little prairie dogs right now. What? Okay, let me see. Let me take them out. Alright, give me like 5 seconds. Well, not 5 seconds, but you know. The dishes are done today. Okay, come on. Come on. Let's go. Come. Come. You wanna go outside? Bug, let's go. Come on. Bug. Come. Come on. You're not gonna explode. Come on. Come on. Dude. You have so much space to walk by. You have so much space. Bug, come on. Go. Sasha was waiting for her. I have the window open so I can hear them, but Bug fucking acts like she can't walk through narrow pathways, and I'm like, bruh, just walk through the damn pathway. So I have to make the clearance a little bit bigger for her because she likes to pretend like she doesn't have enough space. You know what? She would not like cave exploring. You know those cave divers? Oh, she would hate that. Bug does not. Bug is claustrophobic. Thank you. Thank you. No, you know what's even worse than cave diving? Underwater cave diving is worse. Cave diving, well, cave exploring is one thing, and then underwater cave exploring. It's getting a little extreme there. And I've watched a lot of diving is underwater. Stop, you know what I meant. Stop. You're ruining my story. God. Can't have shit around here. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I watched a lot of cave exploring stories, and a lot of people get stuck practically upside down. I just don't know why you would go through a passageway that's this big, and then when you feel it starting to go down, you keep going, and you feel it getting tighter, and you keep going. Oh, I thought it was gonna get looser at the end there. I thought it was only gonna be tight for a little bit and then it was gonna loosen up. That is not the case. That is not gonna happen. Dog, you are about to suffocate. I mean, it's really not funny. I mean, like, it's kind of funny, but, like, it's not. Because, like, a lot of people have actually died doing that. And that reminds me. There was a cave exploring creepypasta that I saw where this guy was drilling a hole into the wall, and they finally made a hole big enough, and they got like a smaller friend to go in, and the friend came out like traumatized as fuck. So I think it was like that. Well, anyways, they end up going in there, and it's like a room, like a room inside of that it's like a cavern, right? And there's a rock, and they hear this rock scraping, and they keep hearing the rock scraping. They don't even know it's a rock at first, but they see it, and they go, oh, who's been moving the rock? And the story doesn't describe a creature. It just describes the fear of being in the dark with perhaps a person or a creature, or there's nothing. But there was something. There was supposed to be. It was a creature, probably. But they had gone in, and they had that ominous vibe, and then they got out safely, right? They were traumatized. And then they went back, and they never came out. It was a pretty good story, though, because the way that they described when they were freaking out, thinking that there was somebody in the cave with them, because they had, like, dropped their light. So then they were just in the a pitch black room, and they were hearing, like, sounds, but not, like somebody was trying to be quiet, basically, like tiptoeing around them. Dude, it sounded creepy as fuck. It was the hash slinging slasher. Yeah, it was. Here, I want to play you, can I play you a little bit from it? Or actually, do you want to listen to it? I don't think it's that long. Let me see. There it is. Oh no, it's super long, actually. Let me see if I can find the point where... Oh, okay, no, never mind. I found it. There's a 2-hour one. And there's a 28-minute one.
Hello. Hey, everybody. So
Oh my god, no, the 28-minute one is some guy talking, like, into the camera. No, I wanted, like, a storyteller. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna skip around so you can get like an idea. I just want to really show you the section where they think that they're in there with someone, because I feel like you could easily understand the story without the filler beginning and ending, and there's a little filler in the middle because it's fucking 2 hours long. So hold on. Yeah, and then they say this is the first creepypasta. Tea. Okay, let me see if the girls want to come back inside before I play this video. Yes. Can I help you? What? Okay, go. Go. Dude, what the heck? Okay, excuse me. Yes, I would like to make way. Ooh. Tough luck, guys. You can have a carrot. If there are any carrots left. Mr. Handsome, I know your fat ass does not want a carrot. And I also already fed you. Hey. Don't be mean. Alright. Sasha, go home. Come on. Let's go. Go. Thank you. I already fed you. Dude, my yonkers. Okay. Yeah, those are my children. That's Bug and Sasha, and I don't know if you saw Mr. Handsome. But yeah. Okay, let's see. Well, we can get...
Due to the overwhelming number of requests I have received to tell about my discoveries and bizarre experiences in a cave not far from my home, I have created a webpage.
Wait, what if I play this in ×2? So, basically, let me just give you a summary, because this guy fucking yaps. So, it's some dude. He made a forum post, I guess, like on Reddit, talking about this shit that happened when he went to go cave exploring with these two dudes.
I will outline the events that happened to me during the past few months,
Yeah.
beginning with my journey into a familiar cave in December of 2000, and ending,
Well,
A pain, but we hoped it would be worth it. I named the passage Floyd's Tomb after. We could also hear a low rumble from time to time. No big deal, though. The cave is in the vicinity of a highway, and the heavy trucks drive on it. We figured the rumble was the effect of the trucks resonating through the rocks. We determined that our best plan would be to haul a cordless drill into the cave to drill into the rock. Then we could take a bullpen and a small sledgehammer and break break up the rock.
So yeah, so they're inside this cave and they find this like tiny hole, and I think what it was that they felt like a draft, and they were like, "Oh, there's air going through this. There has to be something on the other side." And so they were like, "Yeah, I guess we're just going to like set up and we're going to start drilling." Then the fuck they decided to do that for?
It seemed pretty straightforward. We would widen the hole big enough to squeeze in and see what was on the other side. The efforts to haul all of the equipment down to the hole would be a pain, but we hoped it would be worth it. I named the passage Floyd's Tomb after Floyd Collins. It seemed to look like the tight spot where Floyd spent his last miserable days on Earth.
Floyd Collins was a caver back in the early 1900s.
Yeah, I figured, man.
2. To break up the rocks. Bullpins to beds to drill with. Sledgehammers. 2. To break up the rocks. Bullpins to insert into the drill holes, and a few other tools that we ended up not using. Get it?
I'm gonna put this guy in
The
times
tools
2.
down to the work site proved to be a challenge. One of us would climb down the rope and stop at a ledge or a good resting spot. Then the other person would lower the tools. We kept repeating this routine until we got to the bottom of the cave. Then we had to drag the tools to the hole. It took about an hour to finally get to work.
Bruh. And this is fun. This is like supposed to be like a fun friend bonding experience, right? I mean, do you do things that you don't like for hobby?
He took the first turn at the hole. After an hour
This sounds horrible.
of excruciating work, we could tell that we were not going to get through in one session. We kept trading off, and after we worked ourselves into a sweat, one would take a break and get some food and water, while the other one went to work. The routine went like this. To begin work, we had to get down on our knees and do our best to avoid smacking our heads on the ceiling. Working in this awkward position, we would drill into the wall around the hole. That was difficult work. We really had to push on the drill, and it was still slow progress. Then we inserted the bullpen into the hole and hammered on it until the rock broke up. Then we would repeat the process. To give you an idea of how slow it went, the typical size rock that would break off was about fingernail size. If we broke off a large piece, about 1/3 the size of my palm, it was cause for celebration. From time to time, for variety, we would just wail on a cold chisel with a 5-pound sledge. It was slow progress. The problem with the sledge was that we couldn't take a good swing because of the tight quarters.
It took them fucking forever to do this shit, is basically what he's saying. And God knows why they kept going.
Even though we spent many hours and several trips working on the hole, we never did find a better technique for widening the hole. The drill, bullpen, and hammer got the best results for our efforts. We came up with some crazy ideas for breaking up the rocks, everything from TNT, never seriously considered, to hauling a generator to the mouth of the cave and running an extension cord down to a jackhammer. We even thought about
Now that I think about this, don't they need like permission to do that? Or they just pulled up and they were like, yeah, I'm gonna break this shit open.
using liquid nitrogen to freeze the rock and make it more brittle.
After a couple hours of hard work,
Thank
we
you.
realized what our limiting factor was going to be. It was about then that our first battery met an abrupt death. We had a second battery, so we swapped them out. The secondary battery lasted a little longer because we hammered and chiseled a little more often and a little longer each time.
Oh, we got a picture.
Finally, after about
Oh, we got a picture. Yeah, because this creepypasta was based off of like an actual dude's cave pictures, I'm assuming, because they got pics. They got a photo set. I feel like I could probably fit through that. I know these dudes wouldn't, but I probably fit through that.
3 more hours of drudgery, the second battery died, and we called it a night. We could tell that we
All right. Yeah.
lighting. For my backup lighting,
So they left, and they came back over a series of days trying to widen this hole to be able to get through.
nothing to soften the blows to the hands and knees as the caver works down the crawl space.
Did they
More
make
steep
a video?
drops, the harness is not needed and will only get in the way. Once the caver gets down to the 6x6 room, he can take a break under a ledge, and while the rest of the party comes down, then he must drop to his knees to negotiate a 10-foot long passage that is only
So they have to fucking drop into this cave and then crawl to get to the point that they're at, where they're then gonna crawl into a smaller hole to go into maybe an even smaller area.
only a few feet high. This is where the knee pads come in handy. floor is covered with a soft dirt. The thin layer of dirt does nothing to soften the blows to the hands and knees as the caver works down the crawl space. As a reward, at the end of the crawl, he gets to drop to his belly and scoot under a tight squeeze.
Oh, it gets
Not
worse?
really tight, just something low enough to make the caver scoot along in the dirt.
Yeah, on your stomach? That's even worse.
Once the caver gets on the other side of the squeeze, there are a few feet of crawl space. Then the cave opens up enough to stand. For most of the rest of the caver can stand, or at least stoop. The cave splits off into several passages at this point. 2 routes wind around rocks and crevices and come to abrupt dead ends. The other 2 lead to small pools
Okay, so the entrance is really tricky. And it's confusing.
of water. Each route is fun to explore. They all lead on for 100 feet or so in a gradual downward slope. Most of the time the caver can walk upright in the passages. Other times he will have to crawl over large boulders or occasionally crawl on hands and knees for the 40 feet that the passage travels in a continuous direction. This section of the cave resembles up onto hands and knees. The passage ends 75 feet later at one of the small bodies of water. To the right is a rock wall.
Yeah, well, they ended up bringing his dog, right? And the dog did not fuck with the cave.
Straight ahead is an indentation in the wall, which goes back about 3 feet. On the wall, at the rear of the indent, is a small hole, about the size of a softball, and kneels upon the rocks that rise above the floor by a few inches. By the time the caver reaches this point, he is either warm or sweating, and the first thing he notices is the cool breeze blowing out of the hole. It was my recognition of this hole as a potential doorway to unexplored portions of cave
Yeah, so he decided to blast it open.
that ultimately led to this telling of my experience. As has been my tradition for all the years I've been caving, the party reaches a point in the cave, usually at the deepest part of the cave, that all lights are extinguished and break out small chunks of the cave.
So they're still going at this fucking hole. For like 20 minutes of this story, they're going at this hole.
Another hole expected. Scarcely 2 weeks had gone by, and already we were on our way back out to work in the cave.
2 weeks?
We admit we have become obsessed with the idea of getting through the passage. That may be a sign of how exciting our lives really are. It's not that we think there's going to be something great beyond the passage. We just like the idea of being the first humans on the face of the planet to set foot in a virgin part of the cave. Although if we found a hidden treasure, that would be fine too. We got
Girl, there's no hidden treasure.
for the drill for a total
Alright,
of
they're still drilling.
We decided that with this new development, the nervous dog, one of us would work while the other stayed with the dog a few feet away from where.
Yeah, alright, so basically they bring the dog with them this time, and the dog gets really bad vibes from the cave. And they're like, damn, the dog is tweaking. So they have to, like, console the dog while they're down there. And it's not like they can, like, bring him back up, because then you gotta go through that, like, whole drop again. Dude, this is a mess.
We normally rested. We got right back into our routine of drilling and hammering, etc. With our extra supply of batteries, we were able to really push hard on the drill and not have to worry about using up the batteries. This did not make our work any easier, but it did speed things up a little bit. Progress was still slow.
Alright.
This plain old cave was becoming mysterious. Nothing, just listen.
Oh yeah, this is the noise that I was talking about.
B is very grounded and not one to pursue some imaginary sound. I believe he heard something, but I'm not too concerned about what it was. I assume we will figure it out once we get through the passage. The final battery lasted another hour or so. We were sitting around talking about our progress when I decided to see if I could get my head through the hole. My head easily fit, but there was no way my shoulders were going in. As I was kneeling there, contemplating how close we were, I noticed something that B overlooked. The wind had stopped. In all of the times I've been in the cave, I've always felt the wind blowing. The last time we were out working on the cave, the wind was blowing worse than ever. Even earlier, we remember the breeze cooling us off, but now, nothing. B said he did not know when it stopped. The rumbling had ceased too.
So, what you're saying is inside of a cavern that there should be nothing in, the airflow stopped, and the rumbling stopped also, and you're still gonna go?
Bizarre. This plain old cave was becoming mysterious. We talked for a long time in the dark cave. We debated what could possibly be causing these unusual events to.
Yeah, I feel like very obviously a door closed on the other side. That's like... They're just like, oh my god, where did the air go? We have to go faster. We have to find this out.
Occur. I think part of the reason we were sitting in the dark was because we were both too hammered to move. We could come up with no reasonable explanation for the strange things happening in the cave. After sitting for at least half an hour, we slowly loaded up our gear and started for the surface.
Dude, they literally spent all day doing that again.
Trip. Not for any reason, but scheduling conflicts.
Okay, so they end up not being able to go for a while.
As we have enlarged the hole, the thickness...
And then he brings his other friend, I think. Is that what he did?
Even with the gear, we got down in good time. We really have a good system for getting up and down. There was only one minor mishap this trip. B scraped his arm on the descent. Not real bad, fortunately. He waited until we got all the way to the hole to patch it up. It was just a superficial cut. While he was getting the wound cleaned up, I started working. We both took note that the bruise was bad and the rumbling present. We had 4 fresh batteries and 4, maybe 3.5 fresh arms. I had high hopes that this would be the day. The smaller victories we encountered hid their treasures in the cave, and for our drill, we relied on it for most of the work we did this trip. In the cave, it would frequently complete the battery. I was kneeling down and working the drill slowly into the wall at the time. I had my earplugs in, my safety glasses on, was lost in my own thoughts. Suddenly, over the squeal of the drill wearing down the rock, I heard a strange noise. It was loud, and I could hear it over the noise of the drill even though I had the earplugs in. At first, I thought it was just the drill bit doing its job on the cave. It would frequently complain by screeching and whining as we forced it into the wall, but this was different. It took me several full seconds to comprehend that this was coming from inside the hole, and not the bit. I stopped drilling and yanked my earplugs out just in time to hear the most terrible scream I've ever heard trail off and echo into the darkness of the cavern. I stared wide-eyed at the hole. For several moments I didn't move, nor did I breathe. I turned to look at B. Moments earlier, he had been lying on the rope bag catching a nap. Now, he was standing upright, mouth open, with a look of concern on his face. I turned and looked into the hole again, half expecting to see a demon face staring back at me. Nothing was different in Floyd's tomb. I fixed my gaze at the back of the squeeze, where the limits of my light reached. There was no motion.
And they still keep going, by the way.
Only darkness. Not another sound could be heard in the cave. Suddenly, I heard a scraping noise behind me and straightened up. I nearly knocked myself out, hitting my head on the overhang. It was just B, moving to turn on his light, but I was so wired it nearly sent me...
Alright.
To say I was nervous would be an understatement. I didn't say anything to B, nor him to me. Back to the drilling. B took over the work, which...
Drilling
Our
was
lengthy
nuts.
discussion on the strange...
Our headlamps. This meant that this was not going to work. The whole...
Alright, let's look at this. The original entrance, about 3 inches. The wide area, the squeeze, unknown area. So, they're really, really fucking making their way through this shit. Like, this is a really thick wall that they're trying to get through.
hole was small. If I was going to make it in without widening the hole anymore, I was going to have to put both arms in over my head, in a diving position.
That's a bad idea.
And slip into the tomb.
Bad idea.
The width of the entrance was the limiting factor. The height was sufficient. The arms overhead position flared my shoulder blades out, but there was still room to get in. Plus, the arms overhead gave me the best squeeze side to side. In order to enter straight into the hole, I stood on my feet and bent over to get level with the entrance. My knees were bent, and the position was uncomfortable, sort of a semi-squatting position, bent at the wrist with arms overhead. Plus,
So super awkward.
Plus, I had to slightly turn my upper torso to the left in a counterclockwise rotation to negotiate the angle of
Why?
the entrance.
Notice in the last photo that the entrance generally slopes up to the right.
I got my arms through the entrance with minor scrapes. Next came my head. By keeping it turned sideways, I was able to get
Oh my god, did somebody say blink your checkpoint?
in, for the most part, up to my shoulders. When I got to my shoulders, I could feel the rocks touching all around my shoulders and chest. It was not stopping me, but I was definitely scraping many surfaces of my body. I decided just to push through, keeping in mind that I was going to have to come back out eventually. The pain was not too bad, and I was in. Well, my upper body was in. At least I could get a good idea what the tomb was going to be like. Once inside the tomb, I had a few inches all around me in which to position my body. This was the largest part of the passage, and it was conveniently located right at the beginning of the crawl. That gave me a little room to get positioned to crawl further into the passage. Inside the tomb gave me a whole new outlook of what it was going to be like to crawl through. Even though this was the largest part of the crawl, it was still small.
Bro, they're just fighting for their life trying to get through this hole right now.
To the proper angle to enter the hole. Nice. Then I could shine it ahead and get a better idea what I was about to crawl over. This was a difficult minute. I took a few minutes to spot it. It takes several minutes before you recover enough to press forward. The entire time you're lying there, you think about how you're going to get back out. And what if?
What if you get stuck and then die there? Yeah, look at this. Imagine, I mean, you can't see it, but imagine going through this. How is it, I just feel like if I were to do that, there would be alarm bells going off in my head saying that I shouldn't go in there, and then I'd probably get really scared because I know I shouldn't be in there, and there's a 50% chance of me getting stuck. It's 50% chance?
A few inches. Repeat. I took a few extra minutes to enjoy this position.
Alright, girl.
One way or the other.
They're still going.
My shoulders. The end of the passage made a gentle right turn and seemed to go for a ways. I was unable to do anything at this point but sit, due to the size of the passage. All of the broken rocks we had pushed through Floyd's tomb were around me at this point.
They're still making their way through that shit.
There were no others than human hair. It looked pretty the same as much of Mystery Cave, except
wait, let's see.
Symbolic of the whole experience. Then I was able to pull all of my gear through the squeeze.
Oh my god, they're still going. Okay, hold on.
It was in several layers.
There's a crystal formation, that's it.
Wall, resembling clear candle wax that was allowed to melt and drip down the wall. There were several small stalactite-looking formations formed by these crystals.
Okay, girl.
Standing below a symbol. I was pumped. This meant that there had to be another entrance to this cave, even if...
Yeah, there had to be another entrance to this cave that somebody opened and closed to stop the airflow.
The entrance was closed or blocked. It might mean an opportunity to open it and get B into the cave. I took another look at the drawing to make sure I could describe it to B, and then I took some more pictures and headed back. When I got back to the squeeze, I could barely talk fast enough to let B know everything I discovered. He was just as excited to hear about our newly found treasures. As we debated what our next move would be, I began to send my gear back through the tomb to B. I told him it would be best if we got someone else. I had to shift my hips to the right a little to get through, but I just kept plugging away at it. My hands were once again by my side. My head was turned to the right, and I couldn't move.
Alright, hold on. Something happened.
It was the faint blood just laying there, taking a brief break. I was a little over halfway through
There.
when something bizarre happened. I was laying there, taking a brief break, when I heard a sound deep within the cave. It was the faint but distinct sound of rock sliding on rock. My blood froze in its veins. I couldn't move. I just lay there, straining to hear the sound again. Nothing. I quickly began to scoot toward the exit. I didn't mention the sound to B, but I did recall one of our earlier trips when B said he heard the same thing. The task of getting out of the hole turned out to be as painful as I thought it would be. I had to
Someone's in there, moving rocks around.
put my arms overhead and force my shoulders through the hole. I definitely left some skin behind as I slipped through. B helped me as I wiggled my upper body out of the passage. Then I could catch myself and ease my lower body out of the tomb. I was out. B and I shook hands and began to load up our gear. I was trying to listen to any sound coming from the hole, but we were making too much noise gathering our stuff. As much as I looked forward to getting into the passage, it was a relief to anyone on the planet. Even B and I took a minute to pat ourselves on the back for all the hard work we put in, and
Okay, so they made it through and they found a bigger area. Right.
for the fact that we made it through. Didn't tell him afterward, it was too late. Going to be. I figured I would send him through first, since he was ready and I would follow. B would pass our gear through and wait for us outside the passage. B would give us 2 hours to return.
Okay, so he's going in with another dude, not B. So B's gonna stay at the entrance. He's going in with another dude that's small enough also to fit through this.
That was nice of B to go down into the cave and babysit us. It gets really boring sitting there in a cave. With our plan set, we were ready to roll. It was, perhaps, irresponsible of us not to tell Joe about all the unexplainable events that occurred in the cave.
Yeah, so they're about to jump scare this guy. They're bringing this dude, Joe, to the cave, and they did not tell him shit. So Joe's about to get the fucking jump scare of a goddamn lifetime.
Till after he had gone through. But what exactly do you tell someone? How many of the weird things did we need to reveal to him? We did not feel that we were in any danger, or we would not go into the cave ourselves. So we did not tell him a thing prior to him entering Floyd's tomb.
Sensing no danger is crazy.
Of course, when we did tell him afterwards, it was too late.
Yeah, no shit. Dude, I would have been so mad.
I couldn't believe how easy Joe slid through the passage. He said it was tight, but it sure didn't look like it. Once he got in, we passed him his gear, then I started in. Even though I knew that I could fit through, it was still a slow trip through the tomb. You can only go so fast when you're scooting with your toes. When I reached the tight spot of the squeeze, I had Joe snap a picture of me. I thought it would make a good photo. Once I got through, B started to relay myself to me. Then, disaster struck. I had gone all the way in and turned around to pull my gear through. I had just got my helmet, ironically, and the light, and was turning around to feed the rope back to B when I smacked my head on the top of the passage. Human skull versus solid rock. Rock won. I told B what happened, so he sent my first aid kit through.
Alright, they're just fucking
I was bleeding. Answer.
doing a bunch of hoopla.
Get out of the cave as fast as possible, but another part of me wanted to immediately climb back through the passage to find out what made this cave tick.
Alright,
He
girl.
just said he went a little ways in and started to feel sick. Something was fishy about his answers.
Ooh, hold on.
He and I gathered up the rope and our gear and headed for the truck. Joe said he did not want a good time getting up the cave passage. Get out of the cave as fast as possible. Started to head up and out of the cave. In the hole, and we finally got a good look at him.
Wait, hold on.
Suddenly, we both were...
Okay, so this is the part where Joe was in the passage waiting for him, right? He never made it into the passage because he got hurt, so he had to come back out, right? So Joe looked around a little bit, and now he's coming back out.
a motel room if he would stay overnight. Then we could see how I was doing the next day and make another attempt at the cave. I felt goofy for having smacked my head on the cave wall. As long as Joe would stay overnight, we determined to wrap things up the next day. Once this was settled, we just sat back and enjoyed the darkness. We could hear no sounds coming from the passage. The silence reminded me of the scraping noise that I heard last time we were out there. I brought up the subject with Beam. Since I had not explored the cave completely, I could not offer any explanation of what could be making the scraping noise, or the change in the wind strength, or the rumbling, or that terrible scream that we heard. Suddenly, we both wished we had not sent Joe into the cave alone. B went to the hole and yelled into it, "Joe!" No answer. Not surprising. You just can't hear each other when you're very far apart in a cave. We nervously awaited any sounds. Good sounds, that is. Joe-type sounds. The 20-minute time limit we had set passed, then 25 minutes. I really had no desire to climb back through the squeeze. My head was still throbbing, and the squeeze looked tighter than ever. Still, I knew I was going to have to make sure Joe was safe.
This dude fucking disappeared. He dipped.
Just as I was getting prepared to go back through, I saw a light deep in the passage. "Joe?" I called out. Nothing. "Joe!" Still no answer. The light got brighter, and I could hear the noise of someone crawling across the broken rock that lined the cave. "You okay, Joe?" Was his weak reply. When
No.
we got to the other side of the tomb, he said he was not feeling well. He quickly took his gear off and put them in the bag so we could pull it through. As I pulled the bag through the passage, he began to climb back through the tomb. We didn't even get a chance to question him about what he saw before he was coming back through.
He's traumatized AF.
He quickly slipped through the squeeze and the hole, and we finally got a good look at him. He looked terrible. His face was pale, and he was out of breath. The dust that covers the floor of the squeeze left its mark on his face and clothes. He had numerous small cuts and scratches on his face and arms, probably from his rapid exit from the passage. His eyes were open wide. We only had a brief moment to look at the change that had occurred to Joe before he started to head up and out of the cave without saying a word.
He obviously saw something. He saw... I don't know if he saw a thing, but he saw something that probably made him recognize that somebody's there.
While Joe and B started for the circle,
I don't know. That's what's so great about this creepypasta, is that they leave it up to interpretation. Like, so much of it is up for interpretation.
I took a minute to gather our gear. Then I stopped to listen into the passage. I heard nothing, and I felt nothing. The wind had stopped. Part of me wanted to get out of the cave as fast as possible, but another part of me wanted to immediately climb back through the passage to find out what made this cave tick. Then was not the time, though. I still felt a little dizzy from my injury.
His friend comes out. Face pale. Sick AF. Doesn't want to be there anymore. And he's like, "Yeah, I wish I can go inside that hole and see what makes this cave tick." Bro, your friend looks like he almost just died.
At that moment, I noticed B and Joe made good time getting up the cave passage, and I was left alone. Chills ran through my body as I scurried to catch up with them.
Okay, girl.
Trip passed in eerie silence. Joe didn't say much else. We gave him a brief outline of the strange events that happened in the cave.
He told him after.
He didn't reply. As we were dropping him off, we asked if he wanted to go back into the cave. He shook his head and ran into his house. I tried to call him later in the day and the next day, but only got his voicemail.
April 28th.
In this journal entry, I discussed briefly the feelings B and I had at this point. I would like to elaborate on those feelings and set the mood for this part of my journal. I hope I can successfully convey our exact thoughts and feelings as we contemplated our next move. If not, I'm afraid we will appear to the average listener as being ignorant, naive, or downright foolish.
This cave represented to us a culmination of weeks of hard work, complete with
It still sounds really stupid and foolish.
an array of emotions, from fatigue to fear, anticipation to pain, from frustration to glory. To us, we were not standing on the brink of possible destruction, but rather honoring an unspoken commitment,
Dog, get inside the damn cave.
much like and a long spool of thin wire. I would then be able to unwind the wire as I went into the passage and stay in contact with B the entire time. We also thought it would be a good idea to take a video camera into the new passage. I purchased a case that would protect my video camera from dust as well as sharp rocks.
Alright, this is where it's getting to the good part.
I was more than willing to pay the cost of the case just to make sure B got to see the entire passage. My head was doing fine.
Okay, so these two doofuses are now going in without Joe. Joe went in, and he came out, and he was like, fuck this shit, I'm not coming back. And these two motherfuckers are like, yeah, I kind of want to see what happened.
I still had a light red line to mark the spot where I tried to break the rock with my head. I never went to a doctor, but it was a very painful experience. I thought about what would have happened if I had been able to go into the passage with Joe. He was a changed man after he came out. I have been
And they're still going.
calling his house nearly every day trying to talk to him, but he won't answer his phone. B called his work, and a mutual friend told him that Joe called in sick 2 weeks ago and hasn't been seen since. He said Joe warned his boss he might be out for a while. I even stopped by his house twice. The first time it looked like someone was home, but no one answered the door. The second time his car was gone, and there were no lights on. I hoped to talk to him before this trip, but it didn't work out. As we were rigging up the rope to descend into the cave, I felt something for the first time. I did not want to go into the cave.
Don't go into the cave.
It was not a feeling of foreboding. I was not receiving some premonition. I just had no desire to enter the underground world of Mystery
Don't.
Cave. I didn't share this feeling with B at that time. Even
You shoulda.
though I had no desire to go into the cave, I knew we had to. So I double-checked my gear and slipped over the edge of the cliff. Right from the beginning, it seemed like the cave did not want us there.
Yeah, so like the second they get there, the vibes are already off. Completely off. And he's like, it's gonna be okay. I still go. The vibes are terrible. His friend, traumatized. The dog, terrified.
Nothing went smoothly. Every time we tried to clip a carburetor or tie a knot or attach something to a rope, we had to do it 2 or 3 times to get it right. Fortunately, we recognized this and made sure everything was safe and secure. As we slowly made our way down, we were continually bumping into the side of the cave, stumbling as we walked, or dropping things. We finally reached a point where we stopped to gather ourselves before continuing. Our load was relatively light, but we were taking forever to get to the hole.
It's okay to turn around. It's okay.
Finally, we made it. We checked the camera and phone to make sure they survived the trip. We tested everything, and I gathered the gear I wanted to take into the passage. Then it was time. We looked at each other but said nothing. Then I turned to face the passage. As I twisted my body to begin entering the tomb, I desperately hoped it would be the last time I would contort my body to enter this claustrophobic nightmare.
Uh-huh.
The trip through Floyd's tomb went smoothly, figuratively speaking. After I got through, even though the progress was slow, it was steady. Things were going pretty good, and as in the old section of Mystery Cave, it also
Okay, so they got through and they're just like walking around, right?
seemed out of place in the jagged atmosphere of the cave. I could only see back about 30 feet or so where the passage appeared to make a right-hand turn. I thought this would be a good place to check in with B. It took a couple of beeps before he answered the phone, but once he did, his voice was still crystal clear. It sounded like he might have been snooping.
Oh, only he went in?
Had I been that long? He said he was doing fine and that I could take as much time as I needed. I thanked him and hung up. His patience has been wonderful during this whole project. He spent a lot of time just waiting for me while I explored the passage. I was glad he was still willing to sit and wait. I hung up the phone and started to film the new passage. Then it happened. From behind me, I heard the scraping noise. It was loud. It was close. It was coming from the large room I had just left. I wheeled around to face whatever had made that noise. When I did, I lost my presence of mind and stood up at the same time. My helmet crashed into the passage ceiling. My light broke, and I was buried in the heavy darkness. Pain shot through my neck and down into my back. The helmet had protected my head, but my neck was nearly numb from the impact. Fear enveloped me, and my knees began to weaken. I slowly and involuntarily slumped to my knees. I gently set the camera down as I began to see stars from the pain in my upper back. The scraping noise lasted only a second, and now the only sound I could hear was my own panic-inspired breathing.
He fucked up. He fucked up real bad.
Not only could I feel the fear thick upon my chest, but the dark
I would have just passed away at that point. Like, he fucked up so bad.
seemed to hold me in place. I felt like I was vulnerable from every direction. I wanted to turn and look behind me, and to the side of me, and in front of me. Everywhere I looked, I saw black. I finally broke the stupor of terror long enough to reach for an alternative light source, the mini-mag on my helmet. I twisted the light to turn it on, and when I did, I nearly cried. I had forgot to put fresh batteries in, and now I could barely see more than a few feet.
Dog.
Still, it was better than nothing. I immediately began shining the light with all my might into the large room. I strained to get a glimpse of any movement in the room. Nothing. I was shaking violently, and as I sat there trying to figure out what to do, my mind was not thinking clearly.
So, he's fucked up, right? He's fumbling, right? Something just opened. Something just moved a rock to the side and entered the cavern that he was just in, that he didn't see. No light. He has this much light. And like, he was freaking out for probably like a good minute or two. Whatever the fuck it is probably standing there in the pitch black looking at this guy like, what the fuck is this kid doing?
I honestly thought I was going to die right there in the cave. For a fleeting moment,
Because he's completely open and vulnerable in that minute or two that he freaked himself out. If that thing wanted to get him, it would have got him.
wondered how B would ever figure out what had happened to me. Then it hit me like a boulder. The phone. My mind must have been clearing up at that point because
He's not even thinking that, like, that something moved the rock. He's just like, oh, the rock moved.
I also thought about my glow sticks. Without taking my eyes off the large room, I felt around in my pack for the glow sticks. Since I was carrying the phone and video camera, I removed as much as possible from my pack, and one of the things I left with B was my backup headlamp.
Your backup headlamp?
Thus I was left with only the glow sticks. I found one and ripped it out of the package. I could tell something was wrong by how it sounded. It had been inadvertently broken and was now useless. I chucked it to the ground and searched my pack for another. I took my eyes off the large room only to check the passage behind me occasionally.
Dog has tried 3 or 4 different ways to get light, and they've all fallen through.
I found another glow stick and broke it to light it up. The soft green glow created eerie colors on the walls of the cave.
One worked.
The stick provided barely enough light to see the immediate area and provided no hint of what lay ahead. I felt the pack for one more light, again without taking my eyes off the room. I felt a third glow stick and ripped it out of the package. After breaking it to make sure it worked, I hesitated, then threw the glow stick into the large room. The throw was a perfect one, and the stick sailed through the length of the room. In the brief moment that the light traveled through the room, I saw nothing but cave walls. The absence of anything unusual did nothing to ease my state of panic. At the far end of the room, I got a brief glimpse of the round rock as the light bounced on it. Then the light went behind the rock and seemed to disappear. I was still shaking, but at least I didn't see anything.
I feel like that's even worse. If he didn't see anything, there's something there.
Still, there was the noise. I used the glow stick to light the phone reel, and with fumbling fingers, I managed to plug my phone into the jack. I put the phone up to my ear and heard nothing. The usual beeps to indicate connection with the other phone weren't there. Terrified, I pulled the phone from the jack and reinserted it. Again, silence. The line was dead. What could have happened? I just talked to B. I found myself nearly sobbing with fear. I knew the only way out of here was back the way I came, but something was there. A third attempt at making contact with B met with the same results. I tried to think of another plan.
So he's thinking, he's in one section. The room he just left, something's in there. And then the phone line is disconnected. Shouldn't he know that whatever's in there with him knows that he's there because of all the goddamn noise he's been making? He's been making so much noise. They've been making so much noise this whole time. And this thing is just gonna start fucking with him.
Man, but I could only focus on the memories of the grinding sound that I'd heard. In my weakened state, I slumped against the side of the passage, breathing like I had just finished a race, never breaking eye contact with the shadows of the large room. As my shoulder touched the wall, I had a powerful jolt of pain.
Bro's looking around in the darkness like... He can't see shit, though.
It reminded me of my collision with the roof of the cave.
You ever be in a room so dark that you try and, like, widen your eyes as if that's gonna, like, make you be able to see through the darkness better? I used to do that when I was a little kid.
Despair, agony, terror. I I can't exactly say how long I sat there, but my feet were tingling and my knees were sore. The pain in my back crept lower, although my neck felt no different. I resolved to make an attempt to exit this evil passage. I knew if I waited too long, I would lose what little light I had. I attempted to stand, but did not have the strength. I crawled slowly to the near end of the large room, dragging my pack beside me.
Alright, so he's crawling out of this bitch. He can't walk. He's crawling out of this hoe. He said, fuck it. There might be somebody in here with me, but I'm just gonna go. Alright.
Using the walls of the cave, I was able to slowly stand, though not strain due to my sore back. Still breathing rapidly, I slowly advanced through the room. I wound up the phone wire as I went. My eyes were staring straight ahead, straining for any signs of movement. With every step, my light would cast ever-changing shadows on the walls,
Bro's not gonna see any movement.
keeping me busy while trying to look at every one. My eyes burned as I realized I had not blinked for many minutes. How many? How long had this been going on? The only sounds I could hear were the crunch of my feet on the broken rock and the wheezing of my breath. As I wound the cord, I could hear the squeak of the wheel, with each turn bringing me closer to the tomb, closer to B,
Loud as hell.
closer to safety. The short trip through the room took an eternity. As I passed the crude drawing, it seemed to glow as if offering some sort of warning. I didn't know it.
Oh. Mind you, sorry, I passed it. There's a drawing inside of that room. He does not seem very concerned to me, I'm gonna be honest with you.
What the drawing represented, but everything about this cave seemed to instill fear. Toward the far end of the room, I could see the round rock dimly at the far reaches of my light. Something seemed different about it, but I couldn't tell what. When I got within a few feet, I could finally tell what had changed. It had moved. That was the sound I heard. Again, terror gripped my entire body as I realized how close I was to something. I had no choice but to continue. Still, it was not easy.
Now he just noticed that something just moved something in the cave. Someone just moved something in the cave. And he just noticed that now.
I inched toward the rock, holding the glow stick ahead of me in my shaking hand, using it to pierce the darkness. I stopped just this side of the rock and wound up the slack in the phone
Hi.
wire. Then I realized why I had lost contact with B. The rock was now sitting on the wire. I gave it a tug and the thin wire snapped. My only hope of contact with the outside world ceased to exist when that wire broke. I had never felt so alone and helpless, buried
Rats.
deep within the earth. I had voluntarily descended into my own grave with a casket of solid rock. With the phone now useless, I set it down in the passage, my gaze fixed on the round rock. I proceeded forward. My breathing was rapid, with my throat dry and aching, and my mouth dusty. With every crunch of the rock below my feet, my heart seemed to stop. No movement could be seen in the green glow of my stick. I got to the rock and peered over the top. Seeing nothing, I took several rapid steps past it. When I reached the other side, I recoiled in horror at what I saw. In the side of the passage near the floor was a hole, with another passage revealed. It had been covered by the rock, but now it was exposed. The rock could not have moved by itself. I backed away from the hole and collided with the opposite wall. I had not been paying attention to the pain in my back, but now it came back to me in
Oh my god, that's so crazy.
all its fury. I stared down the newly discovered passage. It went down at a 45-degree angle and continued straight for as far as I could see. Several feet down, I could see the glow stick that I'd thrown. It illuminated the passage enough that I could tell the walls were fairly smooth. The floor seemed to be the same way, unlike the rest of the cave. The passage was about 3 feet in diameter as far as I could see. It would have been an easy passage to explore if I had the least desire to do so. Right now, I wanted out of the cave and into daylight. I slowly
Why is he still thinking about exploring? He's not scared enough for me.
backed away from the hole to B. I never took my eyes off the abyss. I nearly tripped over the phone wire as I turned to leave this devil's lair. I noticed my mini-mag was practically dead, leaving me with only the glow stick. I wanted to sprint to Floyd's tomb. Just hearing another human being would help alleviate some of the fear I was experiencing. As I turned away from the large rock in the hole, I felt an overwhelming sense of panic fill my soul. It felt like a legion of demons was about to attack me from behind. I felt my salvation lie ahead of me in the
Mind you, so what I'm thinking, right, is he's doing all this shit, right? And there's something in the room with him. So whatever the fuck is in the room with him right now is just sitting probably like in the corner, like just watching him. Because now his back is he's on the opposite side with his back facing. So somebody was there with him while he was traveling through it, right? That's what that would entail. So he feels a presence behind him. Like, that thing could have murked him already if it wanted to. So honestly, at this point, Whatever.
The darkness and Lucifer was behind me, trying to keep me from safety. I found myself moving much faster than I should have been in that cave. My only thought was to get out as quickly as possible.
Am I gonna collab with China anymore? Yes.
I passed the crystal formation, barely even noticing this beautiful creation of nature in the green glow of my light. Every time I ducked to avoid a rock, I felt my back scream its reminder of my injury. When I got to the point in the passage where I had to crawl, I flung myself down on all fours, barely slowing down as I dropped. When my hands came in contact with the cave floor, I felt an electric shock shoot all the way down my back, and simultaneously down my arms. For the first time since this nightmare had begun, I let out a scream.
Dude, he threw himself through this passageway. So he's fucking like ripping skin off, just crumpling his bones trying to get through this damn passageway.
I crumpled down and lay there on the rock, with new levels of pain manifesting every time I inhaled. Whimpering from fear and pain, I tried to listen to any other noise in the cave.
I feel like maybe he's been in there for like 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes since he discovered there was a noise and he hit his head. I feel like it's been like 5 minutes. I don't know why, now that he's going through the passageway, he's tweaking. I mean, I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to psychoanalyze him because it's a creepypasta, but I feel like I would have been freaking out a lot sooner.
I could feel the silence pounding in my head. I knew from previous trips that B was still out of earshot, but I was close. Forcing myself to move, I winced as I pulled my body onto all fours and started to progress along the cave. I still held the glow stick in my hand, but I had ceased checking behind me. Now my focus was ahead of me. I reached the point where I could yell to B, but I didn't make a sound. I didn't want to stop long enough to talk. Finally, I reached the last stretch of the cave before the squeeze. As I was crawling towards the beginning of the tomb, I called to B. He answered back. I screamed to him to get everything ready to go. He asked if I was okay, since he hadn't heard from me on the phone and he had gotten worried. I told him no, and to get everything ready to go. When I reached the rope, I flipped off my helmet and shoved it into my pack. Then I realized I had forgotten my video camera. It was a fleeting thought. I cared no more about that camera than a passenger of the Titanic cared about a hat or a coat. I tied the pack to the rope and told him to pull it through. Then I told him to start heading towards the surface as soon as he pulled the rope through. He asked why, and I screamed that there was something in the cave with us. My back ached with every move I made. I knew it didn't matter, though. I was going to get through the tomb as fast as I could, injuries notwithstanding. Just as I started into the squeeze, I felt the wind in the passage increase, and with it, the most nauseating stench I'd ever experienced. It smelled like damp, rotting, rancid, putrid death. I almost started to dry heave. I pulled my shirt over my nose to shield me from the overpowering smell. At this point, B smelled it too, and he yelled, "What is that?" Then he yelled at me to hurry up and get through. I told him I was coming. Then
Oh, it's pulling up? It's getting closer?
took a deep breath through my shirt and started back through. B's yelling had intensified my fear and panic, as if it needed any help. I knew he could sense the urgency in getting out of this place. Still, as I worked my way through, I yelled at him to start up, that I would catch up with him when I got through. He said he would. He placed my glow stick inside the passage, then began to climb out. This time through the squeeze, I had no regard for the tightness of the passage. I was scraping my face, ears, arms, and shoulders. Every inch of the squeeze meant numerous scratches on my body, but I barely noticed them. My back was nearly paralyzing me with
Also, thank you. That's super cute.
pain. Once again, I felt the rising need to vomit because of the odor being delivered to my nostrils by the breeze. Halfway through Floyd's tomb, I took a break to catch my breath. I was approaching exhaustion, and my respiration rate was through the roof. The top of the passage
Dude, he's in the middle of this tight-ass passageway trying to get out of this goddamn cave.
seemed to rest my cheek. The floor felt like broken glass on my opposite cheek. As I paused briefly to recuperate, I heard the scraping noise coming from deep within the cave. It continued for several seconds, then silence. I let out a cry which startled me. I was no longer consciously reacting to the noise. The cry was a subconscious response to the fear which flowed throughout my entire body. In a panic, I began to scoot through the passage. As I reached the largest part of the tomb, I quickly slid my arms into my body to get into position to exit through our hole. I grabbed the rope and pulled with all my might. When my shoulders reached the hole, they lodged, and I was stuck. I dug my feet into the rocks and wiggled my way back into the passage. Then I turned my body slightly and tried
Oh my god, he has to go back and realign himself.
again. This time
Oh, he's fucking tweaking right now.
I was successful in pulling my other body through. Normally, I would carefully work my way out since there's a 2-foot drop on the outside of the hole. This time, I kept
Dude, the music is so loud.
on my legs and pulled with my arms. I dropped out of the tomb right onto my shoulder. I tried to roll to soften the impact, but was unable to do anything more than take the blow. Strangely, the pain was focused on my shoulder, apparently not affecting my already sore back. I rolled over onto all fours, then slowly rose to my feet. The smell was much less intense outside the passage. I grabbed the glow stick and used it to find my helmet. I began to head for the webbing to climb up while strapping on my helmet.
He's through the passage, but he still has to make his way out the entire cave itself. So now he's got to go up the rope, and he's all kinds of fucked up. He barely made it through that passage. I don't know how he's gonna hold on to this rope and make it up.
When I got to the webbing, I reached up to grab hold and recoiled in horror. In the glow of the glow stick, I could see for the first time the injuries to my arms. My forearms were covered with deep cuts and scratches. Much of my arm was covered with blood. The wounds were not deep enough to bleed freely, but rather oozed the blood. In that brief moment that I stopped, I noticed that there was silence in the cave. No sounds coming from the passage, nothing from up ahead. Once again, the feeling of being alone returned, motivating me to proceed. Climbing up the little drop-off proved to be difficult in my condition. Having the glow stick as the only light source added to the challenge. Once on top, I scrambled to catch up with B. I was impressed with the speed of his ascent. Although I did not mention any more of my physical condition during my exit,
Yada yada.
then I thought I would let B get a little bit higher while I pulled the rope up that was stretched down into the cave. That would make it easier to get up once we got to the top of the drop, since it was sore and bleeding, so I just pulled it into a pile on the floor. From above, I heard B warn me, and I ducked under the ledge as several small rocks landed on the floor near my feet.
Ma!
I quickly went back to pulling the rope in. I had about half of it in, about 50 feet, when the rope hit a snag. It was solid. There was no way I was going to crawl back in to release it, so I decided just to forget the rope and get my harness on and get out of the cave. I quickly threw the harness around me and started to buckle it. Before I could secure it, I heard a strange noise at my feet. My pulse began to quicken. I looked down at the rope only to discover to my horror that the rope was disappearing down into the darkness. Something was pulling the rope back into the cave.
Somebody was pulling the rope?
I let go of the harness and began clawing my way up the rope. The unbuckled harness fell to the floor. Fortunately, I held onto an ascender. At the moment, I could not think straight and began climbing out of the cave without being attached to the rope. I had climbed out many times without using an ascending device, but I was always attached to the rope just in case. I was climbing as fast
Oh, now he's just free climbing, isn't he?
as my battered body could haul me up. I was in a near panic state again, and consequently was scraping, bumping, and gouging my arms and legs. As I climbed, I screamed to B, but something was pulling the rope. He yelled back to hurry up. Luck was with me in that I didn't slip and fall back down into the hole. If I had, I would have bounced several times against the sides of the cave before smashing onto the floor, and the injuries would be fatal. Without the necessity of having to stop to slide the ascender up the rope,
He'd just be dead af if that happened.
I made excellent time getting up. I could see rays of light above me coming from the entrance to the cave. That told me exactly where I was. I caught up to B on the ledge, below where our relay point was fixed. I told him to keep going. It would only take him a few minutes, but every second would be torture, because I had to wait for him to get up. I watched the rope that we had just climbed up. I expected to see some creature from deep within the earth climb up and make me its lunch. The rope moved around a bit, in rhythm with B's climbing, but did not appear to have any tension on it. As I stood there waiting for B, I kept watching the rope for signs of anything bizarre. I didn't know if my heart could take any more stress. I could not have been more wired. I tried to relax a bit to make sure I was thinking rationally, but my poor brain had reached sensory overload. As B reached the top of the last climb, I got ready to clip on my ascender and get my sorry butt out of there. It was then that I noticed that the rope began to tighten from below. I could feel the tension on the rope, but it was a steady tension, not like someone was climbing up. Either way, I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. I clipped on and scrambled up.
So somebody's just like at the back or at the bottom, just holding it, going like this. Not really trying to climb up or anything, but just kind of fucking with them.
The rope. I hadn't noticed, but B had kept on moving toward the entrance. I got up the last few feet in a hurry. I just unclipped and kept moving, leaving the rope behind. By the time I got to the entrance of the cave and daylight, B was almost up where the rope was anchored. I wanted to get up so bad I almost started to free climb without clipping onto the rope. I could see B was almost up, so I clipped on and started. I almost didn't make it up. I had just started up when I nearly collapsed from exhaustion. I managed to recover enough to pull myself up the last few feet. As I climbed, I could hear the tension on the rope manifest itself by the stretching noise in the rope. I prayed the rope would not break with me attached to it. The second that I reached the top, I unclipped the ascender. I could see B kneeling down by the tree, so I limped over to him and collapsed. For the first time since I went through Floyd's tomb, we could see each other. We just stared. I knew I looked pretty bad, but didn't know that B was in such bad shape. He had cuts and scrapes on every exposed surface of his body. His face was pale, almost white. His mouth and his eyes were wide open. He was breathing heavily, almost gasping. The shock.
I think he saw what it was. That's kind of giving that he saw what it
The other
was.
person's appearance was broken when we heard the rope around the tree stretch and the knot B had tied tighten. I was frozen in place, overwhelmed with fright. B seemed to be transfixed on the knot. Then in one motion, he produced a pocket knife and began to work on the rope. It is amazing how a person's state of mind can alter the perception of time. I'm sure it only took 4 or 5 seconds to sever the rope from the tree, but it seemed like an hour. When the rope was cut, the knot fell to the ground, while the end of the rope zipped across the rocks and over the edge of the cliff, the speed of it causing a humming noise as it went. As soon as the rope was cut, B let out a cry. He dropped the knife and fell backwards. Watching the rope fly over the edge brought the feelings in the passage back to me. I got up and headed toward the truck. I noticed B was still laying there, wide-eyed, staring at the point the rope disappeared. I called to him, which seemed to break his trance. He got up and hurried away from the tree, the cave, the nightmare. Neither of us
I don't think it was trying to get them. I think it was fucking with them.
said a word all the way home. It is now 4 days after our trip to the cave.
Well, yeah. So that's basically what they did. That's what the story that I wanted to you to listen to. And then after that, they go back and they never come out. But yeah, my perspective is I think that whatever was in there was just fucking with him because it didn't gaff. It doesn't gaff about like who was in there. It was just kind of like, get out me house, get out me cave, get out me cave. That's the vibes it had. Because I feel like whatever it was had so much time to get his ass. So, but whatever it is could also not see in the dark. And it's just like feeling around. I don't know. They don't really give you much to go off of.
It has taken me 4 days and dozens of attempts to get this entire experience recorded into my journal.
Recorded into my journal.
B just dropped me off after the trip, and I spent the next several days by myself. In a spider web for the last one. The store, the doctor, the gun purchase. Nothing was there. I grabbed my keys and left the house. I felt compelled to get tomorrow at noon. B looked dead serious. He just nodded his head.
So he got a gun and now they're going back to the cave?
Asked him if I could spend the night at his house. He eagerly let me in. I didn't notice until later that every light in the house was turned on. He led me to a spare room. Help yourself. Thanks. I washed up in the bathroom, took some medication. I almost chuckle as I ponder a childish notion that we will have to consider. Who will enter the tomb first? Who will lead the way into the dark unknown? Who will decide when to turn back? Foremost among the questions in my mind is, what about the video camera that I left behind? It is supposed to be able to record in complete darkness. I left the thing running, so what might we find on the tape? Darker questions follow. What if the camera's gone? What if it is destroyed? Although it is difficult to put an exact name on my motivation, I think closure fits it quite nicely. I need to find out a few things about this cave. The main thing, believe it or not, is to find the end of the cave. To enter the subterranean world of a cave, I must return. I no longer feel that is a choice. I must return. For my family and friends who are hearing this, I say, be at peace. I will conquer this cave. Then I will return and update this website immediately. I will include any photos we take in the cave today, and if you stop by the house, I will show you the video I will have. I expect to be home later tonight or tomorrow at the latest. See all of you soon, with lots of answers. Love, Ted.
And he was never seen again. He never updated after that. They freaking went inside that cave and they got murked. I think the first time they were there, whatever was in the cave was like, get out me cave. And then the second time they went, the thing was like, okay, why are you in my cave again? And then it got him. So that was, I like that. But the first time I listened to this, it scared me. But like now that I listen to it again, I'm like, why'd they do that? Why'd you do that? Alright, let's see. Oh my fucking god, look at this picture. World's worst caving disasters. Caving gone horribly wrong, marathon number 5. Ooh. I have a bunch of like random shit on here. Alright, what time is it? Okay, I'm gonna skedaddle and I'm gonna be back to play Minecraft. Not too late today. I'll probably come back in a little bit. But I'm gonna go eat and I'm gonna play Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Okay, love you. I took out TikTok first. Hold on. Okay, I just wanted to see how my TikTok was doing. Okay, love you, bye.